I'm Liz Faubliss, and this is Currents. 1 year ago, John Paul was beatified. A Brooklyn priest remembers this beloved pope.
He liked to joke around, he liked to laugh, he liked to engage people.
Plus, honoring Catholics in Brooklyn for a job well done.
The volunteers to parish life are the essential component that makes a parish run on a daily basis throughout the course of a year.
And a Washington Cardinal is on hand for a celebration of healthcare workers.
Here at the Church of St. Catherine of Siena, we're having a recognition of the importance of healthcare ministry and celebrating some who are engaged in that work.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us. The canonization of John Paul II is imminent. That's what Cardinal Stanislaw Divish, John Paul's longtime aide, is saying. The Cardinal celebrated Mass today in Krakow at the John Paul II Center on the first anniversary of the late Holy Father's beatification. It was 1 year ago, on the Feast of Divine Mercy, John Paul was beatified. This after a miraculous healing was attributed to his intercession. A French nun who had been suffering from Parkinson's disease was found to be free of the illness. Now, what makes the story even more powerful? John Paul himself was diagnosed with Parkinson's in 2001. It took such a toll on him physically, affecting his speech and physical movements. Well, back in March, it was reported that a second miracle occurred just weeks after the beatification, though no details of that were released. If canonization were to occur within the next couple of years, it would be one of the quickest in the history of the Church. Normally, the Church waits 5 years before beginning the beatification process. Pope Benedict waived that waiting period soon after John Paul's death. John Paul had an impact on generations of Catholics, in some cases even in the years before he was elected Pope. Back in 1969, then Cardinal Karol Wojtyła was in New York City making visits to parishes in Brooklyn, Queens, and Staten Island. A young boy named Thomas Michalski got an up-close look at the man who would one day become Pope. It's an experience that remained with him since then. Well, the now Father Michalski shared his experiences and reflections on John Paul when we caught up with him soon after the beatification. He's tonight's eyewitness.
He liked to joke around, he liked to laugh, he liked to engage people. His humanity was just always there, always there. It was incredible. I have a few different items that are directly connected to Blessed John Paul II. This holy card is from 1969, commemorating his pastoral visit to the United States at that time. Cardinal Wojtyła, who became John Paul II, celebrated Mass both at St. Stanislaus Kostka in Greenpoint and at Holy Cross in Maspeth. Holy Cross in Maspeth is the parish I grew up in. I grew up in the house right next door to the church, actually. And I was an altar boy at that Mass. At that point, as a 10-year-old, I really didn't know much about him other than there's this bishop guy coming from Poland to visit. And the sisters told us we had to be on our best behavior. And I really had no idea who he was other than I knew he was important because of the reaction of the older people around me. It wasn't until the year 1999, and then again the year 2000, that I actually had a chance to celebrate Mass with the Holy Father in his private chapel in the Vatican. I just wrote a little note to his then secretary and said, I'm in Rome. If it's possible, would I be able to get in for Mass with the Holy Father? And by the time I got back to where I was staying, there was a message waiting for me. Call this number at the Vatican. When you walked into his chapel, he was already there, deep in prayer, sitting on his chair, sometimes kneeling on his kneeler, and you could just sense the holiness of the man at that moment. He was so enraptured in his prayer, so deep in his conversation with God, that you knew that you were in the presence of holy. You just felt it. I first greeted him in Polish. I said, "Praise be Jesus Christ." And when I stood up, he looked at me and he goes, "You're American and you speak Polish?" At that point, he's handing me another rosary, which he had already handed me. So I said to him in Polish, I said, "Oh no, Holy Father," I said, "you already handed me one." He says, "Oh, that's okay." He goes, "It's a 2-for-1 sale today. Take it, don't worry about it." Also, I should say, with the rosary, he gave us that small white leather album with his coat of arms embossed on it, in which are first day of issue new stamps from the Vatican. John Paul did whatever the Lord asked of him to do. And I hope that I can do that in my life as a priest, that I would be able to just place all my trust, all my hope in the Lord's hands the way he did, and to do whatever it is that he asks me to do for his greater honor and glory, for the greater honor and glory of his church here on earth.
Father Thomas Michalski is also the rector of St. Cyril and Methodius Seminary in Orchard Lake, Michigan. The school prepares candidates for the priesthood to serve Polish American communities. Stay tuned. The rest of the day's headlines are straight ahead. Welcome back to Currents. I'm Liz Faublas. Georgetown University will not offer contraception coverage in its student health plans. In an email sent last week, the school's president announced that it would continue its policy of not offering such coverage to students unless it is required for health reasons unrelated to birth control. In the email, Georgetown's president said the school would continue to offer contraception coverage to its employees. Back in February, one of Georgetown's law students testified before a congressional committee saying that religious institutions should be required to offer contraception coverage to students. The issue itself has been in the news for much of the year. In January, President Obama announced that most religious institutions, regardless of their beliefs, would be required to provide contraception coverage to employees. U.S. bishops have been vocal in their opposition to the measure. They've even called for a 2-week period of prayer and action beginning in late June. For the second time in less than a month, a Catholic college has disinvited a commencement speaker. The Mercy College School of Nursing in Youngstown, Ohio, has rescinded an invitation to Robert Hagan, a member of Ohio's House of Representatives. Hagan was scheduled to speak at the school's commencement, which will take place at the Youngstown Diocese Cathedral of St. Columba. In a statement, Youngstown Bishop George Murray said he asked the school to rescind the invitation because of Hagan's consistent votes in favor of pro-abortion legislation. He said the invitation was originally extended without proper review by his office. Bishop Murray added that while he respects Hagan's positions on many social justice issues, Catholics must oppose his position on abortion. The bishop did say he would be willing to meet with Hagan. Meanwhile, on his Facebook page, Hagan said that he is, quote, one disappointed Catholic and plans to write the bishop. According to an Ohio television station, Hagan later said he refused to make the decision personal and that he had nothing against Bishop Murray. The news comes less than a month after a Catholic college in Massachusetts disinvited the widow of Ted Kennedy because of her public support of abortion rights and same-sex marriage. Oklahoma Supreme Court ruled that a proposal to grant personhood rights to embryos is unconstitutional. Opponents of the law argued that it would have banned abortions in the state, along with some forms of contraception. Now, supporters of the measure have been gathering signatures to get the issue placed on the November ballot. Personhood Oklahoma, the organization behind the measure, said its lawyers would decide what to do next. Abortion providers in Texas are still in business, but for how long? A judge in the state has issued an injunction against a law that would have prohibited any organization that performs abortions from receiving federal funding. But a federal appeals court judge has issued a stay on that injunction pending an appeal by the state. Planned Parenthood has sued over that law. The appeals court judge had given the organization until 5 p.m. today to file an opposition brief. PepsiCo has announced that it does not perform or fund research that uses human embryonic or fetal tissue. A pro-life organization had called for a boycott of the soft drink maker over PepsiCo's ties to a company that uses an aborted fetal cell line to develop flavor enhancers. Now, Children of God for Life says it is ending that boycott after PepsiCo announced that it will not use an aborted fetal cell line in its contract with the company. A spokesman for PepsiCo says the company took the matter very seriously before making its decision. Next up, the online encyclopedia Wikipedia was set today to rule on proper use of abortion terminology in its entries. According to Catholic News Service, Wikipedia has received complaints that entries on the site paint proponents of abortion rights favorably, while those who are pro-life are portrayed negatively. Wikipedia reportedly uses the term anti-abortion, which has negative connotations, to describe those who hold a pro-life position. The site is accused of using the term pro-choice, which is viewed as a positive label to describe those who support the legalization of abortion. Wikipedia founder Jimmy Wales, who was in Rome for the annual assembly of the Pontifical Council of Social Sciences, says the goal in general is to find a single, simple, neutral term. Well, Wales is taking part in an assembly examining Pope John XXIII's encyclical Pacem in Terris, or Peace on Earth, on the 50th anniversary of that document. The president of the Pontifical Council for Social Sciences was asked about the encyclical and the potential goal of a global government.
I think the great contribution of Catholic social thought on that point is that, which we refer to as subsidiarity, that there are certain things that are best done closest to the people that are affected by the decisions, so that one has to be rather careful in speaking about global governance to keep in mind that we need to develop international approaches or transnational approaches to those kinds of problems that can't be handled at a lower level of responsibility. There's nothing in Catholic social thought that espouses a world government.
And Glendon also spoke about threats to religious freedom around the world. She said in some parts, those threats take the form of outright violence, while on other parts, they amount to a gradual marginalization of religious voices. Well, a priest who was kidnapped in Nigeria has been released. The priest had been abducted by an unidentified group of gunmen and was held for a week before being set free. The website All Africa reports he is being treated at a hospital. The news comes just days after 2 attacks at Christian services in northern Nigeria that killed at least 21 people. Although no one has taken responsibility, the attacks are similar to those taken by the Islamist group Boko Haram. Earlier this year, the group ordered all Christians out of northern Nigeria. Now back in Brooklyn, a group of young men and women get awards for getting a deeper understanding of their faith. At Our Lady of Hope Parish in Middle Village, Queens Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts received their religious awards.
And we are gathered here today to celebrate the accomplishment of our young scouts, both Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts, who work to achieve Catholic religious awards. They deepen their knowledge of their Catholic faith through awards that they received through scouting and focusing on their knowledge of their Catholic faith.
I'm almost 18, I'm on my way out, and I could say I've had a great time in scouting. I'm receiving the Adult Terry Day Award, and it's basically a review of the sacraments and learning like different things and more spirituality of the Catholic faith. So to be able to learn more about that, that's really exciting for me.
Whatever age we are, we know that to follow Jesus requires sacrifice, requires dedication, requires our time.
There's a lot of stuff that gives you good character.
We had to we did cards for people who are elderly or helped people who in need.
It's very important to have the children look at their religion and their beliefs, and I think by doing these activities it really made them think about what they're doing and how important their religion is, and how important it is to be good and good faithful Christians.
I'm very, very happy to see so many parents here too, and that's another really important part of scouting. Scouting involves parents helping our young boys and girls to become Christian adults and connecting with adults who can guide them and help them to shepherd them.
It's nice to have all the scouts come together for one big ceremony. It's a really nice feeling being recognized.
I went through many of these convocations, getting my Adultari Day, my Pope Pius. It was a long time ago. It's a nice feeling, that's why it's important we keep these ceremonies going for the kids.
Young kids today, they really do need to be reminded of how important faith is in their lives. So the fact that my daughter and 2 other of my Girl Scouts completed this award just reinforces how important their Catholic faith is.
Congratulations to our young Scouts, and stay tuned, there's more currents ahead. Coming up, meet a group of Catholics giving back to their Brooklyn parishes.
The very fact is that you have been willing to serve, to give of yourself, to be like Mary, because through Mary, the Word became flesh.
Well, as many of us prepare for graduations, weddings, and ordinations this time of year, keep in mind it's also a good time to give thanks. The Brooklyn Diocese is doing just that, showing its appreciation to Catholics across Brooklyn and Queens. Now, 1 week after a similar ceremony in Queens, Bishop DeMarcio recognized Catholics here in Brooklyn for the hard work that they do for their respective parishes. It was a packed house at St. James Cathedral as men and women from across the borough received this distinct honor.
Tonight we are here for the bestowing of honors upon members of the diocese. These are lay honors for people who work in parishes and do extraordinary work. And we will give them the Sesquicentennial Medal, which was made for the occasion of the 150th anniversary of the diocese.
I am thrilled, I am shaking, I feel like a little kid.
The medal winners were chosen by their pastors. We knew that the pastors would know who were the most worthy in their parishes.
We raised 5 sons, and they all went through our parish, St. Thomas Aquinas, and we're still there, and we're not leaving.
They're tremendously valuable. They help the whole parish run so many things that just couldn't be done otherwise, whether it has to do with the liturgy or taking care of the parish organizations, helping to build up the spirit of the parish.
And I usher, and I'm a Holy Communion minister, and anything that I'm asked of, if I can stretch that rubber band, I definitely will.
The very fact is that you have been willing to serve, to give of yourself, to be like Mary, because through Mary, the Word became flesh.
I've been doing things for my church for 40 years. I'm a lector and a Eucharistic minister, and I organize a Christmas gift drive.
On one side of the medal, those are exactly the words that are there. Verbum caro factum est. The Word became flesh. We make Christ come alive when we serve others.
The volunteers to parish life are the essential component that makes a parish run on a daily basis throughout the course of a year.
We never really did it for awards. We just do it naturally because we love our church. It's a family, and it's a beautiful parish, St. Jude.
Parishioners and the fact that they give so much of their time and energy to the parish is what makes it strong, vibrant, vital, and continuous.
Oh, a well-earned honor for so many years of hard work. We, of course, wish them many more years of service to the church. Stay tuned. There's more currents ahead. When we return, as healthcare remains a hot topic, a local parish honors doctors, nurses, and medical workers.
Today's event was, first of all, a celebration of St. Catherine of Siena, a celebration of 2 people who have given so much to the Catholic healthcare ministry, and also, to really kick off this new chair in healthcare ethics at the Dominican House of Studies in Washington, D.C.
Finally tonight, the one issue that has arguably dominated headlines when it comes to health care is contraception. It all started earlier this year with the announcement of the federal mandate requiring most religious organizations to cover contraception, sterilization, and some abortion-inducing drugs in their employee health plans. But the church is not only at the center of debates like this, it is also providing their own care. Take as one example the healthcare ministry at St. Catherine of Siena Church in Manhattan. Yesterday, on the feast of its namesake, who is the patron of bodily illnesses, the parish honored doctors, nurses, and other healthcare workers.
Regardless of one's political affiliation, we can readily observe that matters relating to medical care and life issues will impact each one of us now and in the future.
Here at the Church of St. Catherine of Siena, we're having a recognition of the importance of healthcare ministry and celebrating some who are engaged in that work.
On the Feast of St. Catherine, we always give out the St. Catherine of Siena Award, which is given to both an ecclesiastical leader who has made a lasting contribution to the world of Catholic healthcare and to either a local doctor or hospital chaplain. It is with great joy and humble thanks that I have the honor of bestowing the St. Catherine of Siena Award upon His Eminence, Donald Cardinal Wuerl, Archbishop of Washington.
The Dominicans, who have a house of studies in Washington, D.C., really want to provide more and better education than ever to their own friars who are going through theological studies so that we can bring Catholic wisdom to bear on people who teach about and also provide or support authentic Catholic healthcare.
At a time and at an age when most people want to retire, Sister Elaine is filled with zeal and dedication. It is with great joy that the St. Catherine of Siena Award is bestowed upon Sister Elaine of the Congregation of the Presentation of the Blessed Virgin Mary. Sister.
I was 60 years old when I interviewed for the chaplain's position. I was bold in those days.
Sister just embodies all that I would want if I were in that position. Her compassion, her kindness, her faith, her listening, her true caring. And I think it's amazing that she is still doing this work at her stage of life. And I hope to be able to be doing the same thing at that age.
Ministry of Healthcare Chaplaincy is to take care of people of every faith or of no faith. Sister Elaine, although a professed Roman Catholic sister, has the ability to transcend the lines of religion and faith tradition and to be able to reach the heart and the soul of people in need across those spectra.
The need for a chaplain is very important, along with the nurses and doctors.
The award to Brother Ignatius Perkins upon the establishment of the St. Catherine of Siena Chair in Catholic Healthcare Ethics at our seminary, the Pontifical Faculty of Theology of the Immaculate Conception in Washington, D.C.
The friar must provide the immediate pastoral care that brings sacramental and personal solace, the cura animarum, while simultaneously guiding patients and caregivers about moral and ethical obligations arising from the faith during their treatment.
And that is all for this edition of Currents. Be sure to visit us online at currentsny.net. For all of us here at Currents, I'm Liz Faublis. Thank you for watching and have a good night.